We're going to dive deep into an interesting concept by Guthrie Trapp in this video on how to create fresh ideas over an E7 chord when he says this.
If I'm playing over E7, I always like to superimpose the B minor and then maybe the D major 7 sounds over the E7.
I will show you the 5 licks he plays, explains why they work, and give you a few other suggestions so you can have the confidence to come up with your own lines. Also, if you wait till lick number 5, Guthrie plays something that he didn't actually talk about at the start, and it's well worth breaking down. It will give you even more ideas. I've tabbed everything out and it will be all available on my Patreon site. The link is in the description. Let's firstly look at lick number 1 and 2, which talk about the B minor sound over an E7 chord. Let's check it out. So this one's quite simple. We're taking a B minor triad, and for each chord we're just lowering the B note a semitone each time whilst keeping these 2 notes present. What's quite clever about this, we actually end on this chord here, which is actually, when you look at the notes, it's all part of an E9 chord. We have the 3rd of E, the flat 7th, and then the 9th. So to come up with different ideas, if you know your triads all over the fretboard, all you do is you put your B minor triad on, locate the root note, in this case it's where my 3rd finger is on the G string, and then I lower that a semitone each time. Take the C shape, here in this case this is the B, and so on, and you can do that anywhere on any string set, anywhere on the fretboard. Let's look at lick number 2, then after that I'll explain why B minor works over our E7 chord. Let's check it out.
A D major 7 sounds over the E7. So that would be like,
So although he says it's D major 7, he's actually playing a B minor 7 sound because we have the roots, B minor, we then have the flat 3rd, the 5th, and then we're playing the flat 7th there, so that gives us a B minor 7 sound. And then his last note there is actually ending on the 9th fret of the B, which is actually part of our E7 chord. It's the major 3rd. So we're playing 4 notes out of the Bm7 Arpeggio, and then ending on a chord tone of E7. And he does that for the next phrase as well. So 5, flat 3rd, root, flat 7th, and then ending on major 3rd of E. So using that concept to make up your own ideas, we take our Bm7 Arpeggio and then end on a note within the E7 Arpeggio. Let me play a few different ideas. So by looking at stuff like this, it encourages you to get out of your normal thinking and explore different ideas. But why does B minor work over E7? Well, the first thing we need to do is work out what notes are in an E7 arpeggio. Chord tones of E, we have an E, which is our root, G sharp, which is our 3rd, B, which is our 5th, and then D, which is our flat 7th. Now let's look at the notes from Bm7 Arpeggio. B is the root, D is the flat 3rd, F sharp is the 5th, and then we have A, which is the flat 7th. Now you might have already noticed Bm7 actually contains 2 notes from the E7 arpeggio. B, which was our 5th of E7, and then we had D, which is the flat 7th of E7. So it only leaves us these 2 notes here, F sharp and A, which are different. So these are what we call upper extensions. So F sharp is the 9th of E7. A is the 11th of E7. By playing Bm7 Arpeggio over an E7, it gives us the chord of E11, which sounds like this. So in summary, if you're actually playing over a dominant chord, if you go to the 5th of that, you then play the minor 7 arpeggio over that, and that will create the same feel. Lick number 3 now goes into the D major 7 sound. Let's check it out.
This one I like a lot,
So it starts off with this really cool D major 7 inversion. We have the 7th degree, root, and then 3rd. It's got this really nice rub against the major 7th and root note there. And then he's just using notes within the E mixolydian scale. and creating this really cool melody. Finally ending on the root of E. So taking that same concept, what we're doing is trying to find a D major 7th dyad somewhere. So take those two notes and then using notes within the E Mixolydian scale just to come up with your own interesting ideas. So let's see what I can come up with here. And just remember to end on a note within the E7 chord. This is where Guthrie's knowledge of the instrument becomes apparent. He knows his cage system, he knows his arpeggios, he knows his scales. If you'd like more info on this, please let me know and I will do a video. Now let's look at lick number 4 and then work out why D major 7 sounds so good over a E7 chord. For this, I'm not going to teach you note by note because I think he's just improvising, but if you do want the tabs for this, I have got it on my Patreon site. The link is in the description. But let's just look at and analyze what he's actually doing. What is he actually thinking? So let's have a look at the first part. So that is based around this cage system shape, and he's just playing arpeggio, D major 7 arpeggio. And then just coming down using notes within the E Mixolydian scale. The next phrase. There he's just outlining E5 and then sliding into another E triad which is based around the C shape. Then he shifts position and plays D major 7 using the G shape. Then goes to the E shape. Then he's playing the E Mixolydian scale. Why does this work? Why does D major 7 work over an E7? So we know the notes from E dominant 7th now are E, G sharp, B and D, the root, the 3rd, the 5th, the flat 7th. Now in a D major 7th arpeggio we have the notes D, F sharp, A, and then we have the note C sharp. So very similar to a B minor 7 arpeggio. This time we're adding in this note here, which is our C sharp. So we still have the flat 7th of E, we still have the 9th, and we still have the 11th. But what is this mystery note, the C sharp? If we look at E, that note there is the 6th, or what we call the upper extension, which is the 13th. So now we're outlining this sound. Which is an E13 chord. So how do we use this concept over other dominant chords? Well, if we take E7, D is the flat 7th of E. So any dominant 7th chord, if you go down one tone to the flat 7th and then play a major 7th arpeggio off that, you're going to generate that same sound. You're going to give that dominant chord a kind of a 13th sound overall. So if I say A7, if I go down one tone, I get the note G. Then if I play a G major 7th arpeggio, I will be giving that A7 and A13 sound. Let's look at lick number 5. This is where we've got a really interesting concept that I like to talk about.
I just like that sound.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, but can you play it with
beautiful.
good touch?
Yeah.
Now that first part of that improvisation I really liked. It's that sound, it reminds me a bit like Eric Johnson. I really wanted to dive into that. Then after that he's sort of playing this out of this E Mixolydian. But yeah, let's analyse what's going on. So that is a B minor triad. So that's the root, 5th and the flat 3rd. So next we jump up here, and this is where he could be thinking of D major or B minor 7th. D major would be the root, the 5th and the 3rd. Similar inversions to what we just did. Or if he's thinking B minor 7, we have the flat 3rd, the flat 7th and the 5th. Either way they sound great. Now this, I'm thinking he's thinking of A. So you've got the third, the root, sorry, and then the fifth. Then he's jumping down here. And here he could be thinking of A major. So you root 5 and major third. Then here you're going to an E major, third, root 5. So he's either thinking of this sound or so I really wanted to explore this further and just kind of try and run down the whole scale, just come up with some nice, interesting versions. And I hope you agree that some of these are really nice. I want to explore these much further myself. But all these tabs will be on my Patreon site, link in the description. But let's play through each of these nice and slowly so you can get a gist of how they all sound. So I hope by going through these 5 licks in great detail and talking about the theory behind it, will encourage you to come up with your own ideas using these same concepts. Now I have done a playlist up here for you to check out where I go through some stuff that Tom Bukovac has done. This is a growing playlist as well, so there'll be plenty more videos to come, so make sure you subscribe. Remember to discover, learn and create something inspiring today. See you next time.